Let's be fair. I have not been particularly kind in a certain point, from a certain point of view, toward Dornach and the councils in America. I mean, just the idea of suggesting that they don't provide leadership toward real anthroposophy would, by some people, be considered to be unkind. And I can't really blame people for having this kind of knee-jerk reaction to what I'm doing here. So I'm doing this little video, which is called How to Love Dornach and the Councils in America, in spite of the fact that they are human and they have made some errors. One of the important things I think to realize is that the history of the Anthroposophical Society is very important. And the people that are presently in positions of leadership are not the people that were there when Steiner died. That's a different group of people. That first group of people set a whole lot of stuff in motion. And not only did they set a whole bunch of stuff in motion that's turned out to be very unfortunate, but the longer they went into their immediate existence, the more the civilization in which they had lived at the time that Steiner died collapsed into chaos. 8 years from Steiner's death, we have the burning of the Reichstag in Germany. The Nazis closed down anthroposophists. They had chased Steiner out of Germany earlier. He couldn't lecture anymore in Germany after a certain point. I forget which particular groups opposed him, but that was the case. So we also have to look, at the fact that the opposition was very active, and the social life itself was involved in influencing what went on in Dornach and what the way the people that worked there felt about things. It's not easy being a student of Rudolf Steiner. I mean, think about it. The guy's a giant. He can do things that make most of us sort of fall over in a swoon. Now we can look at the situation and say, well, they did this and they did that, and it'll all be true. And we can see these things as failures, which is true. And we can also look at the successes. I mean, people fought over things, but that doesn't mean Walksmith's book on Steiner's biography or his stuff on the ethereal formative forces and the earth is useless. And the same with all the other actors in this play. Like all of us, they've got good and bad in them. I got good and bad in me. Owen Barfield had good and bad in him. This, however, doesn't change the fact that people in the Anthroposophical Society can make mistakes, and that where the Anthroposophical Society stands today is not in a way that Rudolf Steiner could approve of it. If we go back, and this is in the Garish article, and you can find it in a lot of other places, if we go back to the things that he said over and over again to the Society about why it needed to do this, or it needed to do that, and so on and so forth, you can have a situation in which it's very clear that he was asking a great deal of human beings, and he did this ostensibly representing himself as a voice of the gods. Through him the gods spoke, the spiritual world spoke, Archangel Michael spoke. Now that's a lot of pressure to put on people, and also a lot of pressure to say, oh, you didn't get it right, you didn't get it right. So over here, 80, 90 years later, Wentz saying to Dornach and councils, well, you haven't got it right. Well, why haven't they got it right? Well, part of the reason they haven't got it right is what I mentioned earlier on when I talked about the culture of the Anthroposophical Society. By the time somebody like Prokofiev, for example, becomes an anthroposophist as a young man, the scientific impulses already left the society. He's doing what he learn from other anthroposophists to do. Now, it doesn't mean he gets everything right, and it doesn't mean every word that drips on the pages of these big books that he writes is the best way of looking at things. Okay? So we have to sort of stand here and kind of have a double vision, you might say. In one set of vision, we have to recognize that the people in Dornach and the people in the councils in America are human beings, and a lot of them are brilliant, tireless, hard workers in the fields of anthroposophy, what they call anthroposophy. And the fact that it's not real anthroposophy is more related to the situation I described earlier, and which is in my Saving Anthroposophy article. We're involved in a process of incarnating something. And in that process, which involves human beings, things aren't going to work out too well. It's going to happen in fits and starts. So while it's important to kick off the 21st century with a bang and say that there is a thing that we can call real anthroposophy, and it's very different from what goes on, it's said by the councils in America and the Vorstein and Dornach, all of that is true, but that's not the only thing that's true. Now, I would like to see the situation proceed in such a way that the impulse to real anthroposophy becomes integrated with the impulses that are coming out of Dornach and the councils in America. But I can't do what they got to do. I can't look at Joel Wendt and at Owen Barfield and at Josiah Ben Aaron and George Kuhlman, the people that Dornach has traditionally pushed to the side because of the fact that the scientific impulse isn't there. I can't do what they need to do. It's simply not possible. But I can love them. And I can say, good work, fine job, and by the way, help all of us do better. Don't exclude people. Take the people on the periphery into the center. And use the forces of the people at the periphery to re-enliven the center. Remember Ben Aaron. A rebirth of anthroposophy. Let's start the 21st century with a rebirth of anthroposophy. Thank you.